Imagine investing over $50 million in a major reinforcement, and less than a year later, considering dumping him like he's disposable. Well, that's exactly what's happening behind the scenes with the Philadelphia Eagles. We're talking about an explosive player who arrived with star status after recording a double-digit sack season, one of the biggest hopes to lead the team's defense. What were the failures, the decisions, and the behind-the-scenes moves that put everything in doubt? If you want to understand why this situation could completely change the course of the Eagles' defense in 2025, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because what we're about to reveal might surprise even the most attentive. The Philadelphia Eagles entered this season with major gaps on their defensive line after losing 3 key players. However, the front office remains confident. That's because they're betting both on the potential of their backups and the impact of new signings, especially Bryce Huff. A former Jets player, Huff arrived in Philadelphia as one of the biggest off-season bets. The pass rusher signed a 3-year deal worth over $51 million with the expectation of replacing All-Pro Hassan Reddick without the defense missing a beat. But reality has been quite different. Huff struggled in his Eagles debut, dealing with injuries and inconsistent performance, especially against the run, a weakness that was already evident during his time with the Jets, and that has become a recurring issue for Philly's defense in 2024. Even so, the coaching staff publicly supported the player throughout the offseason. On the other hand, the team's actions tell a different story. Josh Uche and Azeez Ojulari were also signed, clearly to address the shortcomings Huff has yet to overcome. Now, the clock is ticking fast. The 2025 season represents a turning point for Bryce Huff. If he wants to live up to the investment that brought him to Philadelphia and secure a key role in defensive coordinator Vic Fangio's system, he'll have to step up. And soon. Being a pass rush specialist won't be enough. Huff will need to prove he can be a complete defender, reliable on every down. Otherwise, he risks being sidelined again during the season's decisive moments. And, just like last year, watching the Super Bowl from the couch. Philadelphia Eagles expected to keep Bryce Huff despite trade rumors as the NFL draft approached. The Philadelphia Eagles were surrounded by intense trade speculation. 2 names dominated the conversation: tight end Dallas Goedert and edge rusher Bryce Huff. But things have started to settle. Goedert agreed to a restructured deal with the team and will stay in Philly. Huff, who had been out of the spotlight in recent weeks, remains in the discussion for another reason: his uncertain future after a disappointing season. Signed as one of the franchise's biggest off-season additions, Huff joined the Eagles on a 3-year, $51.1 million contract. However, his performance in 2024 fell far short of expectations, fueling speculation about a possible trade or even release. Even so, journalist Jimmy Kempski of Philly Voice believes Huff will remain on the roster. Edge defenders: 6. Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Azeez Ojulari, Bryce Huff, Josh Uche, Antoine Powell-Ryland, Kempski wrote. At this time last year, the Eagles' top 3 edge rushers were Josh Sweat, Bryce Huff, and Brandon Graham. Sweat and Graham are now gone, and Huff was a disappointment in his first year with the team. Smith and Hunt are the starters, and if Ojulari proves to be healthy, he's almost a lock to make the roster. Kempski was clear about Huff's likely return. Huff's staying, folks. His contract is too prohibitive to trade or cut. The team will have to hope he can at least contribute as a situational pass rusher. Despite a rough 2024 season, it's not surprising that the Eagles are willing to give Huff another chance. At 27, he still has upside. He stood out with 10 sacks for the New York Jets in 2023. His contract is sizable, and it appears the franchise is banking on a bounce-back year. Eagles face a critical decision for the 2025 season. Should they keep veteran tight end Dallas Goedert, who's still a solid player, or move on and look for a younger replacement? In my view, the ideal scenario would be to retain Goedert for 1 more year while simultaneously developing a successor to take over as the starting tight end in 2026. However, that outcome seems increasingly unlikely. The Eagles' front office is actively looking to reduce salary cap commitments, and there are clear signs that Goedert may be on his way out. According to reports, at least one NFL agent believes that keeping Goedert is a lost cause. Another report claims that the Eagles are still hoping to land at least a fourth-round pick in return for him. Goedert's potential departure would add to the loss of key names in free agency and the trade of versatile safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson. The difference is, in the other cases, the Eagles have internal replacements lined up. The same cannot be said about the tight end position. If Goedert doesn't return, the Eagles' internal options are pretty limited. Grant Calcaterra, E.J. Jenkins, Nick Muse, and Cameron Latu. Calcaterra shows promise as a pass catcher, but has struggled with blocking, and is entering the final year of his rookie deal. Jenkins, Muse, and Latu are all risky bets. None of them are even locks to make the final roster. In other words, without Goedert, the tight end room is virtually empty. External alternatives don't inspire much confidence either. The free agent market is thin, with no standout names available. The 2025 NFL draft class is strong at tight end, but relying on a rookie at such a critical position is risky. Tight ends usually take time to adjust to the NFL. Brock Bowers and Sam Laporta are the exceptions, not the norm. Given all that, the most viable solution may be to trade for a young tight end still on a rookie contract, and that's where Michael Mayer comes in. Drafted in the second round in 2023 by the Las Vegas Raiders, Mayer is a developing talent who may now be on the trade block. The arrival of Brock Bowers in Vegas, plus the new leadership with Pete Carroll, head coach, and John Spytek, GM, who weren't part of the team that drafted Mayer, could make him expendable. Despite a dip in production in 2024, just 21 receptions for 156 yards and no touchdowns, Mayer still has the potential to become a complete tight end. He just needs a real opportunity. For the Raiders, flipping him for a draft asset might make more sense than keeping him as a TE2. There's also an indirect connection between Mayer and the Eagles. Tommy Rees, Mayer's offensive coordinator at Notre Dame from 2020 to 2022, is close to Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni. The two worked together on the San Diego Chargers staff back in 2016. That means the Eagles already have strong insight into Mayer's game and mindset. Pre-draft scouting reports described Mayer as a physical and dependable tight end. A strong combo tight end, capable of run blocking with the ideal size for contested catches and chain-moving plays. He enters the league with better blocking technique than most of this year's tight end prospects. Built to play in line and at times looked like an extension